call to order the April 21st regular meeting of the Forest Hills Board of Education. This is a meeting held in public for the purpose of conducting the school district's business and is not to be considered a community public hearing. There is a time for public comment during the meeting as indicated in agenda item 9. If you would like to speak during public comments, please feel free to fill out one of the comment cards that are right outside the door where you came in. They will be picked up right after the superintendent's report. And now would you please stand and join Boy Scout Troop 290 Pack 3364 as they lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Scouts, attention. Color guard, advance. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated.
All right, thank you very much. Appreciate you all being here. I have a pin for each of you if you would like to say your name really loudly for everybody so they can hear you.
Hi, I'm Ronan.
Ronan, good job. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm Henry.
Henry, thank you.
Hi, I'm Elliot.
Elliot, thank you very much.
Riker.
Riker, thank you.
Hi, I'm Blake.
Blake, thanks very much.
I'm Evan.
Evan, thank you so much for being here today. Great job.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, we are up to our instructional highlight, which will be presented today by the principal of Central Woodlands, Mrs. Burton-Major.
Good evening, Board of Education, Superintendent Kirby. Thrilled to be here this evening and presenting something that's very near and dear to my heart, which is our 5th grade music fittings process. So when you think about our students from kindergarten through 5th grade, they participate in music classes as one of their specials. And students learn music fundamentals, and they enjoy all sorts of different musical genres. They engage in different musical performances, which you've probably been able to attend. And they even play the recorder as part of their learning in 4th and 5th grade. So this evening, I'd like to treat you to a short recorder concert. I'm just kidding. We've also altered the sweet strains of the recorder, and you know that by the time a student has learned the recorder, it's time to move on. And so that's what happens in 5th grade. Students are learning instrumentation, they're learning how to play different notes, how to use their breath, but it's time for something new. So in 5th grade, toward the end of the school year, students get to participate in something called music fittings, where they are able to start to choose their musical path, to choose their musical journey as they begin to get a little bit older. So they are either trying out their vocal instrument for choir, or they're figuring out an instrument played with one's breath like they have with the recorder for band, or possibly even an instrument played with bow and string for orchestra. Ultimately, our students, with the support of families and teachers, will choose which musical adventure they'll embark upon in their 6th grade year, and Central Woodlands is excited to be able to shine a spotlight on this pivotal time in our young musicians' development. Tonight you will get to hear from Mrs. Creekard, our choir teacher, from Mr. Jim Barsky, who is our brand new music teacher for general music in 5th grade, and then he also teaches band and orchestra as well. He's a tuba guy, and the kids think that is so cool. Miss Benjamin, who teaches band and orchestra, and Mr. Poole, who teaches orchestra. And so you'll get to hear from each of them. I'm super excited about this because as a musician myself, I love seeing the excitement that our kids have about this next step in their musical journey. So enjoy. I might editorialize a little bit here and there, but let's hear from Mrs. Creekard.
Hi, I'm Pam Creekard, and I've been teaching at Central Woodlands since the day that it opened. So I have been a part of the fittings process here in the music department for, I believe, 27 years of my 28 years of teaching. And it's exciting and a huge part of our educational process for our kids because it's the first time that they ever get to choose something for themselves. In their whole educational career, everything has been done to them or for them. And this is the first opportunity that they get, that we get to participate in, where they get to choose what they get to learn. And so the process is so much fun because we get to see the looks on their faces and the enthusiasm that they have when they hold that instrument, when they put it in their mouth and they make a sound they didn't know they could make, or they hold the bow and the violin and they actually make a sound that they've seen professionals make and even their 6th grade friends make, but they didn't know that they could do it. So by having the teachers here and the professionals here to help those kids through that experience, they really get great feedback to hear how they could participate in playing that instrument. Now, as a singer, I also ask the kids to sing with me, and for them it's such a personal experience. But when they sing with me, the look on their face is like, whoa, I just did that. I just sang with an adult, and it was so cool. And the look on their faces, and when they turn and look at their friends, that is why we do this, because it is the enthusiasm of them getting excited about music that drives us to do it every year. Here we go.
My favorite thing about fittings this year was seeing the 5th grade students that I've been teaching the entire year have the opportunity to see what the band, orchestra, and choir are all about, have the ability to make their choice about what they would like to go to. And it's nice in my position because I teach 6th grade band, I can see the band students perform for someone like the 5th graders that they want to impress. I thought that was really impactful and super really great to see.
Hello everyone, I am Michelle Benjamin. I teach 6th grade band at Northern Trails in Central Woodlands, and I absolutely love teaching beginners. And I have to say, a big highlight for me is when I get to play in the high school musicals, and then playing clarinet, flute, saxophone, and then around me are all my quote-unquote beginners who have continued that 7-year journey through band, and they're playing the same music that I am. It's so rewarding. So before that happens, we're in 5th grade at the moment, and the students get to pick their instruments or choir, what they'd like to be involved with. So the journey, it actually starts in about early September. I set dates for the fittings, when our fittings concert is going to be, and when the 5th grade classes come down team by team or class by class for their fittings. We get those dates on the calendar, contact the music store. We have to reserve the people who are doing the fittings in the band room. We've got, this is the band room here, and we've got people who come, the retired band directors that do the fittings in this room with all the band instruments. Across the hall, then we've got orchestra, and they do orchestra fittings there, and right in between is Mrs. Creekard doing her choir fittings with the piano. So we have to get all of this set in September on our school calendar to make sure we got these dates set. Then in February, we have a letter that we send home to all the families explaining the fittings process, and it's reviewed with the students in 5th grade, and also the parents start reading it. And right about that time is where the music teachers are starting to meet their future families. So we're finishing out our 6th grade year, but in the meantime, we're starting to meet our 5th grade people, families, which is quite exciting. So then the biggest, most fun time, I have to say, and I enjoy this so much, is the fittings concert. And that will happen in March, and the 6th graders play for the 5th graders. And then the 5th graders are so excited. You see them in the hall, they're like, are you the band teacher? Are you the choir, the orchestra teacher? They're so excited to meet us. And then we also get to know them too. And so myself and Mrs. Creekard, we walk with our stack of papers down into the classroom, and the kids are like, oh, they're here, they're so excited. We hand their forms out. We explain to them what they'll try, 3 instruments and choir, and then we walk them down, and they just can't wait. They just run into the rooms, they're trying instruments, asking questions about it, and it's just a lot of fun, just very festive, a lot of fun. And then we ask for these forms to be returned to us by spring break, and then we start to look at, the numbers that we have. We start to put it into a spreadsheet, and then we know what our classes are for the next year. So thank you.
I'm Andrew Poole. It's my honor to be the orchestra director at Forest Hill Central, and that's been my post for the last 25 years. One of my favorite things in the world is sharing music with young people. And at the 6th grade, we get the chance to start that process with instrumental music and vocal music. And we do that through our fittings process. I'm always excited to start the trajectory of our students on this path, this wonderful adventure that is music. And I tell you this not just because it's what gets me out of bed in the morning, although it is. I like to share with our students that they have a wonderful opportunity to work with some really excellent and dedicated teachers, my colleagues. We're not just music teachers, we do music. We go home and do music. We get up and think about music. We come to school and we teach music. We're active in participating in music because musical model the things that we do in our professional and personal lives impact the trajectory of our students here at Forest Hills. I'm proud to be a part of our program, and I'm glad to get the opportunity to share music with our kids.
What you just saw was the fittings concert that our 6th grade students performed for the 5th graders. And I have to say that's my favorite is...
Hi, I'm Pam Precard.
Get that to the next slide. My favorite is being able to see the kids go from just picking up that bow or just blowing that first note to the progress that they make by the end of just several months of school. It's really fun to attend the concerts and hear their progress. And the teachers do a great job of kind of describing for families the progress that they've been going through. So just a quick snippet from that concert, and the choir, the band, and the orchestra all perform. I won't play the full. Here, Mrs. Precard is demonstrating harmony, and many of the students have not had the opportunity to sing in harmony. So she has the two separate melody and harmony lines singing separately and brings them together. So the kids get really a sense of what they might be able to try out when they're in choir in the future year. Orchestra. This is all in front of a very interested, very enthusiastic 5th grade audience who get to see what they might be doing 1 year's time from now. Here is our band at that fittings concert. Myself, I think back to my time in school, and I think about how I was never a student who was a dropout risk or anything like that. I was a good student, I enjoyed school, but what kept me so excited about coming to school were my opportunities with music. And I think that resonates with a lot of us, that there was something that we were able to grasp onto that really had us excited about our school day, really had us looking forward to a particular time with a teacher, and I know that our teachers bring that. It's so exciting to be able to share this with you tonight. Thank you very much for all of your support. We couldn't do it without you, and we appreciate you and your support of our young musicians. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I always, okay, I've got two things. One is when you pulled out the recorder, I was a little bit afraid.
We're nervous.
But the only reason was because there's only one recorder. If you had given a recorder to everybody in the audience, I swear, I say this every year when people like start to freak out about their recorder concerts and stuff. One recorder is awful to listen to, but when you got all of them in the room together, they actually sound really amazing. So I always enjoyed going and seeing the whole big concert. So if you have kids coming up that are going to be playing the recorder, make them play quietly in their room, but don't be afraid of the big concert. And the other thing that I was gonna say is it's so fun when you get a chance, if anybody gets a chance to go and see some of the concerts. They always have concerts for the choir, the band, and the orchestra a couple times a year where they have everybody that's from 6th grade through 12th grade playing, and it's fun to sit in the audience and watch the progression of how much these kids learn year after year and how really good they become by the time you get to the upper level of their in their classes. They do a really fantastic job, so thank you.
One of these times, someone will possibly highlight for you recorder karate, which is another way that the kids make progress
Yes.
as musicians. So thank you again.
Thank you. Okay, consent grouping. Is there anything on the consent grouping that anybody wants to pull out for separate consideration today? Okay, then can I have a motion to approve consent grouping items 4A1 through 4D2?
I motion to approve.
A second?
Second.
Thank you. We will go first to a curriculum report with Sean Cowley.
All right. So I'm filling in for my colleague tonight. She took very copious notes, so I will try to paraphrase and not to read verbatim. But we had a great curriculum meeting last week. We had two major presentations. The first one was from our Flex group, from John Pagel, or Mr. Rapp as they call him. He's doing some amazing work there with those students at the academy. It's at the old transition building behind the Northern High School. There are currently 55 students enrolled in this program. Under his leadership, he's moving the academy away from the stereotypical behavioral credit recovery program, instead placing them to serve students who are school avoidance and are struggling with different mental health issues. He told some amazing stories where certain students that would not want to come to school are now in this program and actually are excited to come. Some of them now are showing enthusiasm, and actually when they make their credits and they're supposed to go back, they don't want to go back, they want to stay there because they're having such a great time and having great fun there. He's done a huge amount of work there with them. So it's a combination of in-person and online learning. They use the Northview Next program, which is Grow Main Street, and it's really around life skills, interdisciplinary curriculum, and they highlight engaging and motivating for the students. Some of the students, like I said, their goal is to return and back to the regular curriculum, and they're thriving when they go back, and the other ones, like I said, they want to stay. Mr. Rapp showed what he called the starfish story, which really, I think it's key on what he's doing, what a lot of educators in our district are doing, so I'm going to read that verbatim so we get that perfectly. An old man was walking on the beach one morning after a storm. In the distance, he could see someone moving like a dancer. As he came closer, he saw it was a young woman picking up starfish and gently throwing them into the ocean. "Young lady, why are you throwing starfish into the ocean?" "The sun is up and the tide is going out, and if I don't throw them all back in, they'll die," she said. "But young lady, do you realize that there are so many starfish on the miles of beach? You cannot possibly make a difference." The young woman listened politely, then bent over, picked up another starfish and threw it into the sea. It made a difference to that one. So that really, I think, sums up what he and the staff there are doing. He really reinforced is that it's not every day you get in a student's life, but you have to keep trying and trying and trying, and that's what they're doing there. It was really inspiring to hear his story and what they're doing there. So great work there. If you haven't had a chance, I would check that out, but really made a huge impact on me and the story that he said. And he basically broke it down and said he was one of those students. He was a student who really wasn't liking the core curriculum, and he got into some trouble growing up, and he wished that there was a program like that they had growing up in his district. And he said that he really tells them the truth and says, that's who I am, I'm one of you, and they really relate to that. So it's a great story, a great thing we're doing there. The second, Van Antwerp, she gave us a brief presentation on the curriculum that's going under 30-day review for our junior kindergarten program. So it's a brand new curriculum, specifically designed for preschool and pre-kindergarten, led by Dr. Nell Duke. She's a leading scholar in the field of literacy and early childhood education. Great First Aid is what it's called. It's play-based curriculum and focuses on 8 interdisciplinary units throughout the year that will serve as a foundation and build strong background knowledge for our kids as they leave junior kindergarten, head to kindergarten and beyond. As an example, some of the units They have a program called Ramp It Up, where students learn about ramps and wheels to move things around and help people. One project on the unit would be for students help with the delivery of their schools. Another unit, Farm to Table, where kids learn basic nutrition, how the food supply from farm to table is made, and really learn that 360 about food and how they can have an impact on that. So those are just two of the main things they're learning there. Another part of this curriculum is the research is backed by how young children learn. It's innovative, and it's aligned to standards from the National Education Organization. It prioritizes children's engagement, emphasizes robust family involvement, and comes with continuous professional development for our teachers, which is key. That this program allows them to really grow and understand what we need to do to make our students beneficial. It's great. It's the district's currently assessing what they already have as far as tools, because there will be a spend on some things they need for these different curriculums, but they're trying to figure out what they have already. So really great there. During this 30-day review, all of us can be part of this on the board. We can learn about firstgrade8.org, follow up. There's a 4-minute video. I started the process. I think it's really informational to get in there, understand what this is going to be. So once you get your account set up, kind of the sky's the limit, which is really cool. And lastly, we've got an update on our junior kindergarten screening. The eastern side of the district completed a couple weeks ago. We had 67, we screened 67 students, and there were more that signed up outside of those zones, which is great. Screening will allow us to see, that evening will allow us to see who gets in pre-K versus kindergarten. So super excited about that. Excited to see that going forward. As a reminder tonight, we're going to be approving several of our resources that the curriculum group has reviewed in the last 30 days. The Alberto.io, the IXL for K through 8, Quick Reads, Quill, vocabulary.com, and then we're going to obviously pre-approval for pre-English 1 and pre-AP English 2. But overall, it was a good curriculum meeting, really nice, and that's it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Kelly? All right, we will head on over to our finance report with Dr. Mashad.
Okay, we had a productive meeting as well. Started with a couple discussion items. We reviewed our monthly financial statements that were in the packet. Nothing, again, notable, all on track with where we expect to be and where we were about this time last year. We got a great construction update, a lot of the work that we can see in the springtime now emerging. Pine Ridge successfully transitioned to its final phase over spring break, so they will be working through the summer, but will be done for next school year, the beginning of next school year. The Eastern Middle School entrance is also finishing up by the end of this year, so that will move in over the summertime as well and be ready to go in the fall. The sports fields at Eastern and Northern are all coming along. Eastern High School is weather dependent, a couple of weeks hopefully away from being done and getting spring sports out there on those fields. And the Northern field will continue over the summer as well, or finish over the summer. And Central construction will start again in this summer, as we mentioned, so that's exciting. The Aquatic Center planning is going as expected. Still plan to bid that work out this summer, as we've discussed before. And the final thing that we talked about that we will continue to say until the day it happens is the ballot on May 6th. We'll have the operating millage on it. We, as the board, can encourage everybody to vote yes for that. It's a critical part of our general fund and the funding that goes towards all of our teachers and our salaries and our curriculum, all of the core materials in our district. It's an important piece of what we do. Information is all over the place. The district, I think, has done a great job of letting people know the information around this operating millage. So it's online, it's on social media, it's on yard signs in front of the schools. So find all your information there. Tell everyone May 6th, please go out and vote. And please go out and vote yes. That brings us to our action items. I can start with some of the curriculum resources that were mentioned, just putting some prices to those. For the Albert.io software, which is replacing IXL for the secondary level, that's a 2-year license from Learning by Doing. It costs not to exceed $76,370 from the general fund. The second was the updated Quick Reads intervention from Savas. That is for K-8 schools. That's an amount not to exceed $73,100, and that is purchased through the Section 35J grant. The next is the renewal of IXL, which will now be for K-8 only, which services about 6,000 students we have K through 8. This is another 2-year subscription, amount not to exceed $198,000 out of the general fund. Then we have a few additional items as well. One is a technology backup system replacement. The current hardware that we have is at its end of life cycle. and looking to upgrade as well to some cloud-based capabilities and some other industry standard things that we don't have now. This was bid out, 5 proposals were submitted, 2 of them were incomplete or inadequate, so they were thrown out. And the apparent low bidder suggested equipment that would also phase out earlier than our next kind of refresh cycle, so they were excluded as well. Thus, the next low bidder is the recommendation we have here, which is Trace 3, a group called Trace 3 LLC, for an amount not to exceed $327,000. That'll be from 2025 capital projects. The next item is a new student transportation van. We have 2 of them, the 10-passenger vans that help with smaller sports teams and smaller student activities. We have 2 of them. We have 3 high schools that often need to use them, so our current setup still sees us occasionally renting vans or having to figure out larger vehicles that we don't necessarily need to transport those groups. So this will be for a 3rd van to add to our fleet. Quoted out as necessary, the low bidder is being recommended from Mobility Works, an amount not to exceed $62,925 out of the general fund. Worth noting, used vehicles were also looked at. I mean, the whole landscape of new vans was kind of appraised. The market as it is, used vehicles aren't at much less than new vehicles, and obviously this gives us our best shot at longevity for this purchase. So that's why this new purchase is being recommended. The next is a replacement for the main gymnasium floor at Forest Hills Eastern High School. That is the original floor that's on there now, was flown in from the Atlanta Olympics at the time the building was built. Pretty cool. Not easy to maintain, that floor. It is oak. We learned quite a lot about it. It's a material that's not very sandable, not very levelable, not easy to fix splinters and little fissures that are in the floor now. One of very, very few oak gym floors in the world, it sounds like. No, at least around us, this is not the standard, for good reason and not made for longevity. So this was bid out in 3 different categories. 6 bids were brought back, recommending the low bidders in all of them, reviewed by our friends at OAK, who also recommend these folks to do the work. All of that information was in the packet. All the contracts together are for an amount not to exceed $840,197. That'll be out of 2025 capital projects as well. We had the 1 Kent County refunded property tax, as we see in the packet. And the final piece is a budget amendment to our 24-25 general fund. We did this just a couple of months ago, and we have additional updated information to add to this. Thanks to the business office, we're always trying to make sure that the budget that we have on record is the most fitting with the most updated information that we have. A lot of detail that we all received, and that was in our amendment packet. Just essentially the bones of the change. Again, this is only for the general fund. A few changes just to the revenue side and the expense side. A lot of these were in and out things. They were categoricals in terms of grants, or they were MIPSers, dollars that affect both sides of the budget equally. And there were a few other items that we saw that were $100,000 here, $200,000 there. Things like additional interest income that we accrued more than we had budgeted for, slightly less in property tax repayments than we had budgeted for, some changes made at the state level in terms of special ed transportation costs. We had different dual enrollment and online tuition costs. All together, on the revenue side, we are essentially taking in about $3.1 million more than we had budgeted. So that's positive on the revenue side. And in expenses, we are ultimately paying about $2 million more projected than we had planned. So to the bottom line, it takes a roughly $3 million spending deficit that we had accounted for this year down to about a $2 million spending deficit, which is a good thing for our bottom line. Leaves us with an anticipated fund balance at the end of this fiscal year of 16.33%, from 15.75%. So not major changes, but enough to trigger an amendment or to update those on our books. So that was done, or that's in front of us tonight in the packet, that language to push through this amendment to the general fund. And that was our meeting. Any questions on any of that?
On the quick reads, is that a, you know, we have, some of these are a 2-year cycle. Did that one have a cycle, like how many years?
Ooh, that's a great question.
Sorry.
Do you know?
I have to ask them that. I just know when you were reading that. I was just curious.
Is it a 2-year subscription again to Quick Reads? Albert.io I know was, IXL is 2 years.
That's
You
fine,
can find
yeah,
that.
I can get it after, yeah.
Yeah.
I was just making nothing up, thanks, Scott.
Yeah, sorry, I don't have
No,
it.
that's fine.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Oh, we need to vote on this now. But to move on. Okay, so, can we please have a vote on our consent agenda?
Dr. Michaud?
Yes.
Ms. Commode?
Yes.
Ms. DeBoer?
Yes.
Mr. Colley?
Yes.
Dr. Fausten?
Yes.
Mrs. Neymar? Yes.
Okay. Next up is, board policy. This is pulled out separately from our consent agenda because it wasn't something that got brought up at any of our, committee meetings this month. Two board policies that need changing, or two related to Title IX and one related to cell phone policy. The Title IX changes are simply changing the mailing address. The mailing address for the Office of Civil Rights has moved from Ohio to Washington DC, so we just need to update the policy to reflect the appropriate address. And the other one is the cell phone policy. It is being recommended that currently the cell phone policy reads that the students may have their phones on them but away. They have to be put away during the day. The new policy says it has to be away and powered off. And the reason for this is because even though the cell phones may be away, there's that Pavlovian response. You hear, you get a ding, you feel the vibration, you have the Apple Watch that gives you that notification, and all of a sudden, wait, what is that? I gotta check it. So now the idea here is to turn it off during the day so that you don't have those distractions coming up and bothering you and interrupting what's going on in class. So that's some background to it. So can I please have, there's obviously opportunity for discussion as always. Motion to approve the changes to policies 3118, 5202, 5209.
Motion to approve.
And is there a second?
Second.
Okay, and if there is any further discussion, questions, comments regarding these policies?
You're not allowed to use them during the day anyway, right?
You're not allowed to use your phone during the day. The idea is that they're supposed to be off, or they're supposed to be put away. A few years ago, we had a policy where they were supposed to be in your locker, and we took that away because nobody uses their lockers. And we're like, why have a policy that we're obviously not enforcing? So it was to have it away, but even with them away, they buzz and bing and ding and make people want to look at them. So that's why the recommendation is to say it can still be on you in your backpack, in your back pocket, whatever, but it has to be powered off.
Good. Do you have any other questions?
Okay. If there's no other discussion on that, we can just do a voice vote on the board policy. All in favor of changing the changes to the board policies 3118, 5202, and 5209, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. The next one, the Kent Intermediate Association of School Boards Board of Directors has two openings. One current board member of the KASB is running again for their seat. The other one, I'm not sure how they're going to fill it. Apparently nobody has put their name in to run for it. But as all boards in the Kent Intermediate School District vote for those who want to serve on the board of directors. So that's why it's coming to us. And so with only one person running for two open seats, it makes it kind of easy for us. So can I have a motion, please, to have FHPS vote for Andrea Hadel for the KIASB Board of Directors?
Motion to approve.
And a second?
Second.
Okay, is there any discussion on this? All right, we may also do a voice vote on this one. All in favor of voting for Andrea Hadel for the Board of Directors, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. We are now up to the superintendent's report.
Okay, thank you. A number of items just to update you on. We've talked a little bit about the budget, and it really has gone nowhere in the state as far as the additional proposals. Really looking at the consensus revenue estimating conference, which will happen in the month of May. It's called the CREC, so you'll hear Julie and myself call it the CREC. That'll probably be the piece that catapults this moving forward, because as of right now, there's a lot of interest in having a foundation allowance of around $10,000 for students from all three of the branches, but they want to ensure that the money's going to be there, and that's what the CREC does, is make those predictions. So unfortunately, the reality is as much as we want to have that budget before our fiscal year begins July 1, it doesn't look like that's going to happen, which isn't a total shocker. But at the same time, what they're talking about is they hope that they can have it done by their fiscal year, which theirs is in October. So that would mean that we start the school year with an understanding of where things are with the budget. So again, part of the school funding challenges that we face. Our students have come back from spring break and got right into the state assessments, so they've been moving along on those. We did put out communication regarding the AI summer class for students. That went out in the parent communication. Again, that's in partnership with Stanford and MIT, and we're looking forward to that offering. It's the first time that we've offered it here in the district, and really hope that students are able to take advantage of that opportunity. I mentioned before a few safety and security items. Knox boxes, which are those black boxes that are outside of entrances. There's there's one in all of the structures now that has a little red ribbon on it, and that's for the fire. You will be seeing through the spring, there will be a second one put up, and that is for the police if there's ever a response needed. So there are tools within those boxes that make it necessary for their response to be successful. It seems like we would need one box, but we don't. They don't work together with that, so that's why there's two, but just to have an understanding. So that's a good step forward as far as response time and protecting those within our facilities as necessary. In that same vein, we do have some signage that's going up across the district as far as really protecting our students while they are here at school during school hours. And that signage is around, who's to be on the property during school hours, and then how people can use our facilities. We have some website addresses and so on, so that people have the understanding of how to appropriately use the facilities outside of school hours. And we've had some issues with conflict during school hours and so on, so we wanted to try to be real clear and also help support how you do correctly use the facilities. Our child care summer program, in the past we've had 100 students that we've served in that program. We've expanded that to 200 this summer. We currently, I think we're around 160 was the count this afternoon, so we still have some space for about 40 students, but it's a great opportunity to force those students into a program during the summer months. A few reminders, we have put out a lot of information around updating the registration information for our existing students, and of course we're always welcoming new students, but if we have existing students, we really need that information updated. That really will help us around transportation, as well as having all of our records updated as we move into the next school year. And then May 12th, 13th, and 14th are the graduations, which will be held at Calvin. I have said May 11th, 12th, and 13th a few times, but it's really the 12th, 13th, and 14th. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention so that you don't show up on a Sunday. Also, May 14th is when we're having that special board meeting. I think Val has sent something out on that, but I just wanted to make sure that was on the radar. That was just before the committee meeting to address the Kent ISD school board elections. May 19th, the retirement celebration. Again, just reiterate, we are doing it differently this year. Not doing the celebrations during the June board meeting, but a separate celebration May 19th. So we want to make sure that not only all of our retirees know, but our employees know that we're looking forward to celebrating their colleagues as they finish their careers. CJ mentioned the operational millage, and I just want to emphasize again, it's a renewal, and it does not affect primary residences. Elizabeth has done a great job, and Isabella, and the district just getting communication out there, and that was mentioned, the different areas. There are also mailers that either went out and received this weekend or this past weekend or this week, so families will continue to get that messaging. We have a tentative agreement with the Forest Hills Education Association, it's our teachers group, and so we're looking forward to them working through their process and bringing that here for consideration, and we certainly are moving forward with our other employee groups as well, and appreciate Christine and Lisa's leadership with that, and that's really worked out well, and we appreciate the FHEA recognizing, you know, the difference between one-time dollars and ongoing funding and all of that. So we appreciate everybody working together with that. We have our HR Assistant Superintendent interviews, which we have initiated, and then we will start our committee interviews next week. Our Orchard View Principal interviews are taking place this week. And then lastly, I just want to share the Studer data that we have received. We did all the surveying, we got all the results back. We've worked with them as to what the results say. We rolled it out with our leadership team today. Had an opportunity to look at the organizational data as well as their individual building data, and then they're creating plans, and they'll be disseminating the information out to their stakeholder groups. In the May board meeting, I anticipate here at the board meeting sharing the results for each of the 3 stakeholder groups, our parent group, our employee groups, as well as the student groups, and we also will have intentional communications to all of the stakeholder groups as well, so that they know what they told us, and then we will have action steps to address those areas that they recognize that they would love to have more improvement, to have a better experience as one of the stakeholders. So looking forward to that work. There was a lot of energy in the room today, and the leadership group took it very seriously, and looking forward to continuing to implement strategies to impact the experiences people have here at Forest Hills.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Wonderful. Board communications. Does anyone have communications this month?
Not much. I just have a quick update from the foundation. May 1st is the State of the Foundation luncheon. Still room available for that if anyone would like to attend. You can find info on the website for that. And not too early to start thinking about golfing as well. June 18th is the Charlie Anderson Memorial Golf Tournament. More information on that online as well. Mark your calendars. We'd love to have a lot of people show up for that. That's all.
Anything else? Okay. This is easy so far. All right, we're up to public comment then. This time, we welcome members of the community to address the board. When you are called, please come up to the microphone and state your name and your address, and limit your comments to 3 minutes. Please direct all comments to the board. Per established procedures, we will not respond to questions or interact with the speaker during public comment. Everyone who indicates they would like follow-up from the district will receive it from the appropriate administrator. First up, we have Doug Lee.
Hi, my name is Doug Lee, and a lot of you don't know, or the new members may not know this, but I've been up here speaking for almost 6 years. I represent a group called Forest Hills for Just Education, and a fairly large group of parents and stakeholders within the community. So I also live here, my kids graduated here. I do represent a fairly large group of people that are concerned about education. One of the things I've been very consistent on for many years now is the decline in enrollment in our schools. And when Dan was here, it was a 2-year period of time that the word, the objection to mine was people were having less babies. And so I did my homework. We started researching more the market of the parochial schools, the private schools, and the schools. Well, they're having the exact opposite problem. They're growing, and we're shrinking, and we continue to shrink. We keep going back to the well for more money through bonds, but we don't go through what the necessary steps are to make the budget cuts. Back when I was also involved in the Board of Education, when we were expanding to education, we had results of growing concerns that we need to add a 3rd high school. It was very real. So we built a 3rd high school. We lowered the elementary schools from kindergarten through 6th, went to kindergarten through 4th grade. We built the Forest Hills Northern, and we built Central Woodlands. Okay? So we went on expansion because the numbers said our community is growing. We need to start thinking forward more than just the now. We need to start projecting where we're going to be, where's Forest Hills going to be in 10 years from now. And the trajectory that you're going right now at 88.5, okay, we're going to be, I told you, you're going to have to be dealing with empty classrooms, and that's going to be up here. Instead of constantly coming back wanting bonds, look at budget cuts. What can we do to streamline or grow the student enrollment? There's things that there could be done as well. There's a reason parents are leaving, okay? Because they have no confidence in, many of them do not have the confidence in public education. I made an off-the-cuff comment last time about cutting the budget for PBIS. I bet you most of you don't even know why we even hired and why we have PBIS. PBIS was brought into our district to deal with unruly kids, to create positive behavior in kids. Reward kids for good behavior is basically the overall concept. Guess what? The number one problem we have is unruly kids disrupting learning of others. Same thing on our buses. So what we brought in to fix a problem hasn't fixed anything, and we need to reevaluate even that program because it isn't working.
Thank you. Vincent Monahar.
I have a handout for this one. Thank you. Vincent Monahar, you'll find me at 6860 Cascade Road. My speech reflects my views and not any affiliated organization. I recommend all minors and easily triggered adults leave at this time. On April 1st, 2025, parents in Burlington, Massachusetts expressed their thoughts to the school board when their kids were subjected to a graphic survey despite being opted out. While what Burlington did was active salacious corruption and the inappropriate books in our school libraries represents passive corruption, the sentiments expressed run parallel to all those who oppose inappropriate sexual books in the school libraries. Quote, my daughter was asked, have you ever had sexual contact with another person? Sexual contact includes kissing, touching, sexual intercourse. Have you ever had sexual intercourse including vaginal sex, which is when a penis goes inside of a vagina, oral sex, which is contact between a mouth and genitals, anal sex, which is when a penis goes inside the anus, or use of toys, vaginal or anal, end quote. You know these descriptions are in the books littered in the school libraries because I've come here and read you those books. Quote, explain to me what I'm supposed to tell my 11-year-old daughter about butt and anus sex and sex toys, end quote. So why should I be forced to pick up the pieces of my child's shattered innocence because of the filth left in the school library shelves? Why should any parent? Why should we have to worry about what could happen to our children at your schools? Well, there's an opt-out system to protect the kids. Quote, his best friend turned to him and pointed to a question and asked my son, bro, what is this? My son said he opened his eyes wide and said, no idea, Googled it. Now, I come from a generation that had to look up everything in a dictionary. They didn't have actual photos and certainly not videos on those pages, end quote. Don't you get it? They would not have been prompted to look these things up on the internet if not for the survey. The same with exposure to porn on your shelves. You've left a roadmap for unsuspecting children into the far darker world of the internet, and an opt-out alone did little to help in this scenario. Quote, what I hate more is knowing the impact of kids getting this pushed on them and normalizing it. You have corrupted their innocent minds by exposing them to explicit sexual acts that most adults would not even tolerate being asked about. We have been protecting our children from the day they were born, and in one day, you've destroyed all of our work, end quote. The media specialists and principals are directly responsible for the filth on the school shelves. The leadership of Assistant Superintendent Haid, Superintendent Kirby, but ultimately you, the board, who has hired Kirby, sets the tone for what is kept or removed. Not to take a stand is to take a stand. You are passively condoning the filth I read you month after month. Research literature going back to the 80s demonstrates the negative influence on normalizing sexual behavior before adulthood. The 2 pages of articles I've included in a work cited has just scratched the surface. So can you honestly look us in the face and tell us that the sexually explicit books that I read to you monthly are appropriate for children? Good day.
Thank you, Dr. Monahar. Next up is Vicki Slott.
It's hard to follow Vince Monahar. I don't know what you think. I have no idea what any of you think about this with the books. That's not what I came to mention though. But I think you do have a serious responsibility. The board does have some say. I understand all the ins and outs, the the restriction on speech. But seriously, what are we developing in the kids in the school? It's a real concern, I think, for a lot of parents. Anyway, I'm very happy about the Flex program, about the Young Fives. I'm really excited about the music program. I'm so glad we offer these things. And I wondered about with the Young Fives, I thought, what a great program for regular kindergartners who really need, I don't know what our regular kindergarten's like, but I thought, that'd be awesome because the ABCs, you know, they're gonna get that stuff, but that hands-on learning was really exciting to me. I wanted to just bring up the gender thing one more time. I started this with the Title IX 2024, wrote a lot of letters. A few of you were probably will be happy you didn't get them. They were quite lengthy. They included a lot of scientific research. And as a nurse, I do have medical concerns. We're back to the 2020 regulations, but there's also been a new Dear Colleague letter out that Ben Kirby's probably aware of. I am very thankful that Mr. Kirby is paying attention. He and the superintendent did agree that parents should be notified. The new Dear Colleague letter says that unofficial records as part of like a gender plan needs to be given to parents if they ask under FERPA. So I don't know what we were doing before that, but that is a new attachment. So that came out March 25. I wanted to alert you to that. And I also wanted to alert you to a new KASB review that is being done in the United States. And it may, you know, I hope we can keep an open mind that maybe some of the ways we've been dealing with gender dysphoria in kids is maybe not as helpful as we wanted it to be. And I hope that that scientific review would be taken seriously if they come out with systematic review that looks seriously at affirmation, at hormone blockers, and I know you're not responsible for some of that, but it is our attitudes towards it as well, as whether we're really helping children or whether maybe we're not. And these are hurting kids, I get it, but underlying anxiety and depression, autism is part of the roots of the gender dysphoria that I think we're missing. That's it. Thanks.
Thank you. Scott Van Soberman.
Hello, Scott Van Salkma. I live in the district. Address is on file. Again, I've been up here before asking and talking to you guys that you guys are our elected representatives as part of a government organization. This is a government-funded school. You guys run for elected office. You guys represent us. Yet the only time you let us talk is after you've already voted, which is kind of counterproductive. Where Ada Township, Cascade Township, Grand Rapids Township allows people to speak about items on the agenda before votes are cast, which I think, you know, sort of makes sense. So if we had questions about, you know, the building or, you know, the new floor, what's going to happen with the old floor, if they're just going to trash it or maybe recycle some of it or reuse any of it if possible, or some of the new curriculum that's being asked, we can discuss it, or at least ask questions about it, and you guys can have a little bit of a dialogue. I've been to the finance meetings, I've been to the curriculum meetings, and the administration, you know, Scott and Julie do a good job explaining what is going on, but not a lot of people can go to stuff at 8:30 in the morning on a Tuesday or 3 p.m. on a Wednesday. And so they don't get to hear any discussion where you guys just briefly gloss over it, and it, you know, here it is not even an hour, and the meeting's gonna be done. So, seeing as how you guys authorized $14.5 million of spending for March bills, so guarantee those checks have already gone out because I've had checks come to me before you guys even approved them. You know, you still don't understand, you don't really, I don't think, do your job as representatives of us as all the taxpayers. You guys don't know what that $14.5 million went to. Granted, $4 million of it probably went to employee payroll, which is obviously the teachers and administrators need to get paid, but the rest of it, that left side of the column out of the ACH and the buildings and all these other funds, that's you know, about $10 million almost every month. And then also you guys authorized just spending another $1.6 million on the floor and the new curriculum and everything like that this meeting. But you don't really want to listen to us until after you guys have already voted. By that point, it's too late. Just like the whole Title IX thing, when everyone was trying to ram through the new Biden laws or rules for Title IX, you didn't want to let people talk. You guys voted, and then people were very upset. Only Holly, I remember Mr. Bohr, was trying to push and wanted people to speak, but as far as I remember, I don't think we got to speak before the vote was cast. So that's just my concerns. Again, you guys are our representatives, for this government school, and I wish you would listen more to the public, at least before you guys vote on things. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, at this time, public comments are closed. The board thanks you for your input, and the appropriate district representative will follow up with those who requested it. Is there any other business before the board this evening? Hearing none, meeting is adjourned. Thank you.